Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Stars of NUST. I'm your host Sana Zafar. हम आपको मिलवाते हैं NUST के brilliant graduates से from all across the globe. आज भी हमें बहुत shining bright stars ने join किया है from Amsterdam and I'm very excited because आज एक नहीं बल्कि दो stars हैं हमारे साथ. Both of them have been my students. Both of them are married to each other. They are right now in Amsterdam. Let's learn more about them. We have with us Wajeeh and Ume Habiba. Assalamu alaikum both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Walaikum Assalam. Thank you for having us. Really excited to be here and let's see.
Yes, welcome Assalam. Thank you Sana for having us.
दोनों ने सीक से ग्रेजुएट किया back in 2012 when they completed their degree in information technology. Currently, Wajeeh is software engineer Spruce Health Inc in San Francisco, USA, which means he's working remotely. And Habiba is currently DevOps engineer cybersecurity at Rabobank, Netherlands. इन दोनों ने फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट में गोल्ड मेडल लिया था और वजीह ने टेराडेटा अवार्ड्स में से एक्सेलेंस आईटी स्टूडेंट अवार्ड भी विन किया था. आइए पूछते हैं ये इतने लायक कैसे थे और क्या क्या हुआ उस सब के बाद. So thank you so much both of you. आपने टाइम निकाला. Really excited to have both of you here together because it's the first time we are having a couple on our show.
Yeah.
आप लोग recently moved किए Amsterdam. You guys were in US earlier. और आप move किए हैं because of Habiba's job. Like I just mentioned that Wajeeh is working remotely and you have a job here. So that's the main reason that you guys moved here?
Yes, that's true.
So I'm really proud of you because you don't hear these stories very often. You know, all over the world, every single day, girls move because of spouses and for their jobs. And there's nothing wrong with that when they are doing it willingly. Sure, why not? But nobody makes a big deal. Nobody bats an eye. But I'm going to make a big deal out of this example, definitely, because we need to normalize it. अगर किसी फीमेल की कोई ऐसे जॉब्स हैं, कोई ऐसी एम्बिशंस हैं, ऐसी ड्रीम्स हैं, तो दे शुड बी वैल्यूड एज मच एज एनी मेल्स. So I'm really glad to know that you guys.
That's actually true, and I think it's worth mentioning that although we moved to US because of my job, but we moved out of US also because of Habiba, because she wasn't allowed to work there and she really wanted to, pursue her career. So we decided to because I was allowed to work remotely. So I talked to my company and they were okay for us to move out and go back to Pakistan. So basically we moved out and then Habiba got a job in Amsterdam. So we moved here. So yeah.
Nice. MashaAllah. So, why were you not allowed to work in US? Visa?
Yeah. So I was on the main visa. So I had a job visa, which is H-1B. She was on dependent visa.
Okay.
And I think the laws were recently changed where if you were on dependent visa, you were not allowed to work until you get a green card. And my company was in the process of applying for the green card, but it usually takes like 4 or 5 years. And what it meant was she wouldn't be allowed to work for 4 or 5 years. So she didn't want that. I didn't want that. So we decided to move back.
And great that it worked out your way. You found a job that you wanted. And I'm glad that, Wajeeh, your company gave that option of working remotely as well. So at the end, it is a win-win situation, mashallah.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you guys have a daughter, mashallah. How old is she?
She is 2 years old, almost 2 years.
Mashallah. So how's Amsterdam with family moving here from another continent? कैसा लग रहा है? कैसा चल रहा है सब कुछ?
Yes, definitely at least in my opinion, Amsterdam or overall Netherlands is very child friendly. If I compare it to San Francisco where we were living before. So it sort of feels at home, living with a child in a big city. You don't feel odd, okay, I'm the only one with the child or something like that. Plus, it's a very good environment. You see kids everywhere. So overall, I think it's a very good place to raise a kid. But I'm not really sure if we are going to live here long term. But definitely, it is a good place to raise a kid.
Definitely, I really like Amsterdam myself. I think बहुत टूरिस्टी सिटी है, बहुत ही आपको वहाँ पे टूरिस्ट नजर आते हैं और इंटरनेशनल सिटी है, हर तरफ से लोग होते हैं. And plus the fact that you can, go around it by bicycle or even by foot, you can cover most of it and see most of the stuff that I really like about the city. आप कि बेटी आपने बताया अभी तो बहुत छोटी है, बट ऑफ कोर्स इन द लॉन्ग रन यहाँ पे रहना, आई पर्सनली फील यूरोप ओवरऑल इज a lot more family friendly than any other continent at the moment, especially.
That's true, and especially in Netherlands, there was a survey done where they sort of created a happiness index, and Netherlands turned out to be the best one, like on the top, where the children were the most happy in the whole world. I think part of the reason is the whole lifestyle where they take things slow. They don't focus on results. They focus on effort. And I think one obviously, like if you're healthy, then your happiness index is also like gonna go up. The whole like Dutch, everyone is on bicycle. Like they're on bicycle. They don't use public transport that much. They're not on cars. They're like on bicycle. They're closer to nature. So I think, yeah, it was a different experience moving here. It was fun. The only thing I don't like is the is the weather. It's like really windy. It's cold most of the time. But other than that, I think it's a lovely place. We love it. We love living here, and most probably we'll decide to live here long term. Let's see how that goes.
Chala, inshallah. I hope it keeps on working out your way. Or yes, when my son was born, now he's mashallah almost 8. I read a lot of studies as well. These comparative studies कि यूरोप में mostly बच्चे ज़्यादा time बाहर गुजारते हैं. They spend less time on gadgets. They spend less time indoors, and they are always happier and healthier kids. So definitely something I think Sweden में बहुत अच्छा है. Germany is pretty good as well, and so is Netherlands. So good to know. थोड़ा सा सीक्स के टाइम पे आते हैं, जल्दी से बताइएगा वहाँ की कोई फन मेमोरीज शेयर करें. How was your time there?
I guess I can go first, right?
Please.
Okay. So, well, overall, like we loved staying at Spruce, and the whole graduation. But yeah, there are some memories that like you stick with you, and like you keep you remember them, and then you laugh about it. So one of the things that I distinctly remember is one time, like I was late to submit this. I was late to the class, and the quiz was done, and teacher was leaving. Teacher was leaving the class, and I came late. So what we did was I asked my friends, so they basically surrounded the teacher and like started asking questions and whatnot. Meanwhile, I finished the quiz and like dropped it under the floor. And then we were like, okay, hey teacher, you dropped this quiz, and they had to pick it up, and this way like I was able to submit that quiz.
Very smart.
Yeah. But yeah, there are like other cool memories.
Ideas दें students को और ज़्यादा learning experience.
Yeah.
Habiba, can you share something? Any friends you want to mention? Any teachers?
I think for now we can just go with the Wajeeh's fun memory, because I do have very many fun memories about NUST-SEECS, but they all need some kind of background or context for it to be fun about. So but many good friends, Lari, Parsa, Sidra, all of the whole B810D batch. It was really fun to study with all of them and spend time with them.
Yes, I remember you guys were a fun batch और बहुत शरारती बच्चे थे आप सब. Most of you were really good in studies as well, but you guys were always up to something. And I actually remember Wajeeh because बहुत like बच्चा था और he won't say a lot. He doesn't speak a lot, but it's like it's always in his eyes that he's up to something, a very mischief kind of a person. So that I remember. और कोई teachers थे आपके अच्छे?
Definitely. Ma'am Sana थी एक.
Okay. वो अच्छी होंगी.
But one thing,
जी.
one thing that is worth calling out is some of the teachers have gone beyond and out of their way to stay in touch with their graduates. So although it's our responsibility to stay in touch with our teachers, but some of them have gone out of their way. For example, you or Sir Majid Makpool, for example, like he's always like messaging you, he's always like emailing you. asking your life updates and whatnot. So yeah, he's worth calling out as well.
Yeah, that's very sweet. And I know he was very popular and he was very, very kind. I remember that. चलिए थोड़ा सा आते हैं आप लोगों की प्रोफेशनल जर्नीज पे वन बाय वन जो whoever wants to go first बताइएगा आपने सीख से ग्रेजुएट किया then you worked there and then moved to US. How did all of that happen?
After graduation, I joined a company in Pakistan as an Android engineer. Actually, it starts even before that. So while we were studying at NUST, I received this GPA-based scholarship, and I was deciding what to do with it. So I decided to buy, an Android phone instead of like iOS phone. And I think that's sort of a defining moment, because once I bought it, I was like, okay, how should I go about like writing an app and coding on it? And at that time, if I remember correctly, there were no courses offered on Android development and whatnot. But um, we had few courses on Java, I think. So in Android, you use Java as a language. So I started development there, and then sort of chose it as a professional career choice. And after graduation, started doing Android development in Pakistan. I did it for I joined, I think, um, two companies in Pakistan, like one after another, and then moved to US, and then started working at Spruce Health, where I am currently. I've been working with this company for a long time, but some time was in Pakistan, some time I spent with this company. It was in US, and then we moved back to Pakistan, and now in Amsterdam. So yeah.
Pretty interesting, especially जो आपने बताई है कि आपने करियर चॉइस जो है करियर लाइन किस तरह से चूज की just based on a phone and it worked and it was definitely what interests you more always has more potential. Habiba, आप भी बताइएगा please.
Yes. So NUST से graduate करने के बाद I joined a software house and I was a game developer there for 8 months. Or I think after 8 months, unfortunately they had to terminate 30 around people, and I was in the first batch that got laid off.
Wow.
And at that time, I was really bummed out and very devastated. Okay, I gave in my whole effort, and even then, I was the first one in the first batch to be terminated. But I think that was the best thing that happened to me, because that led me to join eBricks, and I stayed with eBricks for 7 or 8 years, and that is. In that 7 or 8 years, I have learned so many things which have helped me get here today, where I am today. And so I can look at that moment as a failure, but I chose to look at as one of the best moments that happened, because I wouldn't have been here today if it wasn't for that moment. But yeah, like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So
definitely. Yes. और उसके बाद you moved to US?
Yes, I was working with eBricks, but फिर Wajeeh के work visa की वजह से we had to move to USA. But we stayed there for 8 months and then came back and I joined eBricks again. But after eBricks, while I was working at eBricks, I got this job offer from Rabobank, and I chose to take it, at least try it out, and here we are.
माशाल्लाह, ये भी बहुत जबरदस्त बात की है आपने, बहुत अच्छी बात बताई है कि because of certain reasons when you had to get stop working there wherever you're working at that software house, but at that time आपको जितना भी challenging लगे, it worked your way. So that's very important. I think एक learning lesson है सब students के लिए who are watching and younger graduates, because that was a defining moment for you, because you might think of it that it's a challenge, it's a hurdle in your career, but actually it helped you further.
Yeah. In the beginning, definitely मुझे थोड़ा embarrassing भी लगता था इस incident को बताना कि I was terminated. But in the very few months I was in eBricks, people were just sharing, okay, why you switched to eBricks, and I pulled all my courage in and I thought I will share it. And when I shared it, literally everybody in the group, almost everybody, they shared their termination story, and almost everybody had some similar kind of story. And then I realized it's not even a big deal. I mean, it's part of life. So you can either look at it as a failure or you can just choose to embrace it and make it work your way.
It's definitely learning a very important step in your career, and I appreciate what you're saying. That's very true. हमें उसे embrace करने की ज़रूरत होती है, and it's not just professional life. Sometimes it's personal life. Something happens that doesn't work your way, and you have to change your career. You have to stop working for a while, especially for girls. बहुत ज़्यादा इस तरह के opportunities lost होती हैं किसी ना किसी वजह की वजह से, लेकिन eventually उसकी वजह से you ended up working at a better place and today where you are. So I'm glad. Wajeeh, आप बताएंगे
all
कोई?
about,
जी जी.
yeah, I was gonna say it's all about perspective and how you look at things. That's what defines how you deal with the situation.
Definitely, and you learn it over time. Of course, आपको जैसे ही चैलेंज जाता है, आपको कोई बहुत मेच्योर और कोई इंटेलेक्चुअल सा उसका आंसर नहीं मिल रहा होता. You learn it over time. Hindsight में obviously it's easier. वजी, आप भी थोड़ा सा कुछ बताइएगा, कोई हार्ड डिसीजंस थे, कोई चैलेंजेस थे आपके करियर में?
Definitely, especially the decision to move back from US to Pakistan.
Yes.
Because people, spend a lot of time trying to get an H-1B visa, which is like really hard to get. It's a sort of privilege to have this visa. So I got that, and then we moved to US. And then eventually, like after living there for a few months, we realized that I am happy, but Habiba is not, right? So I have to make a sort of sacrifice. Although I at that time I had already asked my company to apply for green card, and they were in the process of doing that as well. But then we realized, especially in the IT field, if you are out of the field for like, let's say, few months, you are way back versus other fields. So because IT field is like moving really fast. So we had choice in front of us, like either we stay there, wait for green card so that she's allowed to work. But by that time it will be like 4 or 5 years, and then she will be out of the field. The other option was to move back, and it turned out that decision was the best because of a lot of other reasons as well. So I think this was one of the hard decisions that I made in the professional life.
Yes, mashallah, again outcome बहुत अच्छी है जिससे हम सब खुश हैं. So great that it challenge was overcome. कोई आपके पास tips हैं for younger graduates or for students? आप दोनों कुछ share करना चाहेंगे?
So I think I can go first. The only tip that I have is, at least from my personality, I can see that I am very hardworking and determined. I know intelligence matters, but in my opinion, hard work matters as much as intelligence. So if you really want to achieve something, just focus on achieving it. It doesn't matter how intelligent it may matter, but your hard work matters a lot. So just focus on what you want to achieve and just working towards that.
That's a good tip. Wajeeh, आप कुछ बताना चाहेंगे?
So yeah, I do want to. I do have few things to say to the people who are like graduating right now. So most of the time, if you are planning on doing a job after the graduation, then you don't need to do masters. Like if you're planning that you will do the masters in a software engineering field, and then you will like join a company and then you will start coding, then all you are doing is like delaying your professional career, because in this field you will find people who don't even have any IT background. They just decided to switch the field. They were like electrical engineer or something else. They decided to switch to IT. They just did few courses because it's all about practice. It's all about how much time you have spent and how much practice you have gotten over the period of time. So if you're planning like you will do bachelor's and then you will do master's and then you will start a job, so in my opinion, that's the wrong way forward. If you're doing masters, then go ahead and then do the PhD as well, and then that's a totally different field. So if you're confused about if you should do a master's or not, at least you should first get a job, spend some time in the industry, see how things work, and then if you're still sure that you want to do masters, go ahead. By all means, go ahead, do the masters. But first, at least get an experience in the industry. So yeah, and the second is since this field is really you will find a lot of people in different backgrounds, from different backgrounds. They don't have like 4 years bachelor's degree. So even if you're graduating out and you're not doing bachelor's in IT, you can always switch. You can always switch, just do a few courses. If things click, if you find this interesting, then you can always, like, all you need is your first job, and then you will make your way. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, because you really have to know हर field में आपको सिर्फ degrees नहीं चाहिए होती, and like you said, in IT, and it's all over the world now that everybody is coming into this field. People are changing their careers, switching their career choices from where they started as undergrads. So it's very important. And I think इसको मैं थोड़ा सा relate कर सकती हूँ कि Germany में there are universities, different names हैं. Some are universities and some are called Hochschule. And in the beginning, when I came here, I was a little confused. What's the difference? The difference is Hochschule prepares you for industry and for sector, for corporate sector. Our universities focus on research. If you want to pursue research, if you want to do PhDs, if you want to get into teaching, for example. So that is a very valid suggestion you just gave there. And I think it's very, very important to know about that. Yes, thank you for sharing it.
In fact, I know few people who were totally in different industry. They just did a 180-degree switch, and they just moved into IT or moved out of IT, and then made their life basically successful.
Yes, definitely. I think एक आपसे एक wrap up question मैं पूछना चाहूंगी. हबीबा, आपके लिए question है. हम अपना interview खत्म करते होते हैं on a question on to the new segment. It's called आवाम का सवाल, and we try to reach out friends of our guests. So आपके लिए question भेजा है पारसा ने. And she says,
I was able to connect the dots the moment you started to say from your circle.
Yes. And okay. She told me कि आप लोग एक term use करते होते थे PPP, which is probably पढ़ पागल or something. So she wants to ask कि आप दोनों में से कौन बड़ा था उस पे?
कौन बड़ा था? Wajeeh, definitely Wajeeh.
Yeah, we had a lot of terms that were going around at that time, mostly related to, like, theta and people like that. So one of that was PPP, which was Purple Pagal. So yeah.
So you agree that was Wajeeh? Wajeeh, do you agree as well?
Definitely.
I don't know. I think this term is for other people to define, like who it applies to. So I can't say.
Definitely like तो आप दोनों थे, और like Habiba already mentioned, hardworking भी थे, mashallah. So thank you both of you for taking the time out and recording this interview today. थोड़ी सी coordination में हमें पहले problem हो रही थी thanks to COVID, but I'm glad that it finally worked out. So thank you so much. आप लोगों की journeys अभी start हुई हैं. You guys are very young. Inshallah आपको हम और successful देखेंगे. Future में we'll learn more about you and we'll definitely stay connected. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. It was really fun. I was a little bit double-minded in the beginning, but yeah, it was a fun experience being on an interview for the first time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Allah Hafiz.